who've lost their incomes and have no savings or safety net. Well, joining us is Arun Kumar, the Chief Executive of Apnalye, which helps the urban poor, particularly in Mumbai. Thanks very much for talking to us this evening. Now, your organisation supports the poor in densely populated urban areas. How prevalent is the virus there?
The area where we work, it's highly infected, partly because of the population density. This is the largest slum cluster of Mumbai. As you may know, 42% of Mumbai's population lives in slum. And the area, the landmass, is basically about 8. The landmass has 42% of its population. So given the population density and lack of regular testing of cases, have resulted in maximum number of cases in informal settlements known as slums. Where we work, the population is about 600,000 people, and this is the ward. Mumbai has 24 wards. This is the ward that has the highest fertility rate. The fertility rate of the city is about 5%. In East Ward, where Apnalye works, the fertility rate is 9.7.
You mentioned, obviously, how densely populated that is. Is it possible to practice social distancing there?
That's very difficult because, the people live in actually one room set, and that room would be about 10 by 15 square feet, and average family size is about 5.5. So 5 or 6 people living in, that small room with that kind of population in just, condensed in such a small space. Physical distancing is going to be very, very difficult. It has been a struggle right from the start.
Now, it's not just the virus that is causing grief. What effect has the lockdown had, particularly among the poor and those informal workers?
The virus basically signaled as a medical crisis, but the lockdown has actually unleashed a huge humanitarian crisis. I think when the lockdown was announced, perhaps all factors were not looked into. And it's particularly true of India. I'm sure globally this has been a case. If we have about 57 to 58% people engaged in daily work, those who go out, and that's when they will have something to eat by the end of the day. In that situation, announcing a lockdown without giving them any warning, enough warning to do some shopping, get some food in the house, was disastrous. And because public distribution system, which is also known as ration system in India, was not functioning at the optimal level in those days, and particularly in slums, because nearly half of the slum population will not have ration card, and therefore they will not have access to food security. In that situation, announcing without any warning was actually going to be, and we realized it very soon, immediately after 25th of March, that we needed to reach out to people to provide them dry ration, for instance, to begin with.
Arun Kumar, do you think the country as a whole has been taking the pandemic seriously? Because we've just had news in the last couple of days that Bollywood royalty have contracted the virus, and that appears to have shocked the country. Is that likely to change attitudes, do you think?
It's difficult to answer that. I mean, the community level social behavior depends on n number of things. To begin with, for instance, when it was announced, we all were told that washing hands frequently is something that we must do. Now we are talking about slums where 60% people buy water on a daily basis, spending about 12% of their meager income. Now, should we say that they are not taking it seriously, or it's so difficult for them because even on a daily basis, when COVID-19 was not there, they were struggling to make both ends meet. So that's the situation in which people live. We are talking about workers. Overnight, more than 22 million people were suddenly destabilized. They didn't know where to go, what work to do, and people started walking on foot, trying to reach their home in villages. So I think there were some systemic issues which made it very, very difficult for everyone to observe precaution and norms in the same way. And I think it was not fair. It won't be fair to expect that people would, observe those norms, especially when they are struggling in their everyday life.
Arun Kumar, Chief Executive of Apnalye. Thanks very much for talking to us, and we wish you well with your work.
Thank you.
One prominent feature of the UK's coronavirus